Ready when you're ready.
All right, it looks like we're ready. So, what is going on, everybody? And Robert, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are y'all doing?
Good. Alex is running late.
No, I'm not.
He's
there he is.
running just about a minute. They're a few seconds late, but that's okay. It's all good. What's up, Alex?
What's happening, fellas?
We're just diving in, see what's going on here. I'm kind of bringing it up on my other screen here just so I can make sure that it's working and whatnot. But yeah, so Pringles.
Nice.
Dude, those are the best. Those are the best. They had a pizza flavored one at one point I had to try because I really love pizza.
Mm-hmm.
It was just okay.
They still have them. They're still good. Mm-hmm.
I'm not a huge fan of the pizza ones. They were okay. I had to try them.
Mr. Pizza Connoisseur over here.
I do eat a lot of pizza, man. And I'm going to New York tomorrow, so I'm going to get some New York pizza in New York.
New York pizza is not Italian pizza.
So that will be
I have to agree.
Good.
I've spent my fair share in New York, and I wasn't impressed with the pizza.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for what it is, but...
Yeah, I had a couple different places last time I was there, at two different places. One place I liked way better than the other place. So I think it's kind of hits and miss. Somebody says they can't hear anybody or can't hear just me. Somebody's saying, can everybody hear us? I mean, I can hear those guys, so I'm hoping everybody can hear us.
I can hear you guys pretty good.
All right, well.
Yeah, I can definitely hear both of y'all.
Then Mo Patty EDC need to turn his speakers on? I don't know. So anyway, today, guys, we have the legend, Mr. Robert Carter, with us today, who is a super great guy, number one,
Sometimes.
and just an amazing knife maker. Yeah.
An alloy magicianist.
Yes. And he makes his own
of the low layers.
Everything.
Hail, King of the low layers.
So we kind of teased you last time. He was supposed to be here, but his daughter was in the hospital with a broken hand. So that takes priority. I would have blown us off too. So it's great to have him back. He's been on before as well. So that was a fun one, but it was such a good one that Alex was the guy who wanted to have him back this time to talk about actually making knives and maybe dive into a little bit more technical stuff than we did the first time. Plus,
all right,
always want to get your questions. If anybody has specific questions for Robert, just shout them out in the chats and we'll get to most of them if we can. So we'll see how many people join and all that good stuff. But yeah, thanks for coming on, Robert. It's always a pleasure to chat with you. I know we talk a lot on messengers and stuff like that, but it's always good to just kind of chat and get together.
Of course.
So as Alex eats his his Pringles there.
So I've had an afternoon, gentlemen. I mean, I decided not to be lazy today. I decided to get some stuff done. I got a new carbon fiber hood scoop for my WRX.
Oh,
and then
nice.
I had and I wanted to clean out all my pistols. So I had a couple things I wanted to do today. So I got through all of them.
Thank you, Wicked.
The hood scoop was the last. And the damn hood scoop came with the wrong screws. So I had to figure out what to do, go to Home Depot, get the right screws, get it all fixed up and everything. But if I was the average Joe, I would have been screwed. My car wouldn't have gone well. It would have had a big hole in the hood with no insulation.
Yeah, because it has a hood scoop already. So you're just replacing that one with a carbon fiber one, right?
My original one's made of plastic. This is what they have a plastic insert one that's painted the same color as the car.
That's right.
Max, knock it off. Cattle dogs in here. And over the years, that fades and turns almost like a white chalky color.
Okay.
So like rather than just repaint the factory one, like
Yep.
it was like $350 just to get a carbon fiber one, and it's slightly more aggressive, like a little bit larger. So whatever. So it was supposed to be like a 30-minute install, which turned out to be like an hour and a half. So that's why I'm eating Pringles right now, because I'm fucking pissed and hungry, and but it all went together, so that's good.
All right. It's normally just bolt on. If they gave you the right hardware and everything, it would have been in and out, right?
Correct. But they didn't
Yeah.
give you no directions, and there's a couple spots where like screws or like where you're supposed to put clips, but now you put screws. And then there was like some hood insulation pieces that wouldn't fit with the new scoop, so you had to actually like cut them shorter to get them to clip in and hold the insulation. There's a lot of like figuring it out on your own, you know? So
Gotcha.
anyways,
Wicked dream.
not that
Wicked dream design. Yeah, well, it's on and it's good now. You can drive to work tomorrow.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that Wicked
Looks
Dream
good.
designs. I just sit down and I draw stuff.
Yeah, he does some
Yeah,
great
so Wicked
design.
Dream says you're one of my inspirations of night designing. So yeah, I you make some great stuff. I like a lot of the things. A lot of the things for me are a little on the smaller side. So, but the design language and the stuff, everything I've seen and handled, because people have sent me stuff, it's been great. Yeah, I really like. They come together really nice.
Well,
I don't know. There's some really nice iconic models too, like the BBM, right?
Yeah.
And you've been making some crazy BBMs lately.
Yes. Yes. I think
I
y'all are
still
gonna
want to get my
for
hands on
that
it.
too.
Yeah,
Definitely gonna
So
steal.
that's good because I eventually want to get a BBM in my collection. A knife that I think Dirk thought was a bit small. I'm a bit smaller than Dirk,
BBM,
so
yeah.
I think I'll like it. The Cricket, that's a cool one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the Cricket, and then of course the F-16. That's what I have. I like that one a lot. Probably my favorite.
Yeah,
Yep.
I always thought it was just a block, just a brick fold, with a brick style blade and a brick style handle. You just folds into each other and it fits.
Yep.
I didn't think there was a lot of, but I designed that whenever I was probably 25, 20. That's like, it's 23 years ago, 24 years ago.
Wow.
What inspired the name for that one? Is it the jet?
Yeah. So whenever I was younger, I wanted to go into the Air Force, but of course that didn't work out because I got hired on working offshore and doing some offshore stuff. So I didn't go into the Air Force, but I really was still very intrigued and inspired by it. So I took a lot of the names of the jets and stuff that I wanted to fly, and I named my knife models after them.
You should have made a Tomcat, man.
Yeah, well, I've got a design for the Warthog. I just have not. Yeah, I have not. It's a dagger model actually, and I just haven't got to it. There's all kinds of stuff I haven't CAD that I haven't got to. I've got a stealth model. Of course, the SR-71. Actually made a few of those back in 2015, 2016, somewhere in there. Not many. It was not really an oddball design, but it was different. And a lot of people didn't. It just didn't never gain traction, so I didn't make a lot of them. But it was a good looking. It was a good looking knife.
It's kind of funny how things do that, right? Like there may be some kind of goofy looking knife from somebody that just somehow gets on that hype train, and it just goes nuts, and everybody wants one, and they spend big money to try to get X, Y, or Z, and then over a year or two, then it kind of fades off, and then it's just then you can't sell them if you try.
Yeah, so nobody ever hears about another one.
Yep. It's every couple of years there's some goofy, weird looking knife to me that everybody wants, and then
that's the fad and the knife game. Like flavor of the month type stuff always is going to happen. You know, the latest, coolest thing.
Yes.
We
It has
just
to
don't
whip it
always
in.
agree on what that is, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Which drives the market.
Yep.
Yep.
No, for sure. John here says that he used to heat anodize the steel frame on the Jettisons that were
I
produced
remember
by
those.
CRKT,
Yes.
designed by you, as gifts for people. And the guy who gifted me a Rockstead recently has one that John gifted to him, apparently. So it's a very small world. Also,
Yeah. Awesome. That is
for
awesome.
sure, which is fun and great.
Yeah, the Jettison was I don't know, I just was sitting around and wanted something I could throw in my pocket, which I was thinking slip joint, but I didn't really have the knowledge or the experience with slip joints at the time to make it. Which
Okay.
I still just now have started making slip joints. I'm still not an expert by any means, but I've started making slip joints, and the Cricket is originally was going to be a slip joint model.
Oh, okay.
The size makes sense to say that for sure.
Yeah, but I just figured out a way to make it into a frame lock because I didn't know how to make it into a slip joint at the time.
Yeah, I like that model. That's a cool model for one
Yeah.
of your smaller knives. It
And
had some nice lines.
yeah, now I'm making a slip joint out of the Cricket model. I don't have a name for it or anything. I just call it the slip joint or the slippy.
Okay.
But I have it in the same size as the little mini Jettison. I haven't got to it yet.
I'm sure there are a ton of things in your mind and or on cocktail napkins that you haven't gotten to yet.
Yes. Well, I have well over, I want to say 200 designs in CAD that I have not got to. I probably never will get to them.
Wow. Paul says he just got an NCC BBM2. Very cool. Wicked Design says call it the slip kit.
Slip kit. Or I could just call it the chirp, I was thinking.
The chirp, that would be kind of fun.
Because the parent model being the Cricket, the slip joint version, call it the chirp.
Yep.
But I haven't told anyone that yet, so of course it hasn't really resonated or been out there yet. But I was thinking about calling it the chirp.
I like that name.
I think that's kind of a cool idea. So there you go, guys. You heard it here first. There might be a chirp model coming out.
Mm. I know we should have made a Hawk Tua when that was a thing.
Again, flavor of the month. She's
That would have been
already
a flavor of the
faded away.
month.
Yep.
She was the celebrity of the 15 minutes, wasn't she?
Yeah.
I love her, man. She was great.
Yeah, and then she did some like crypto thing, and that got all like drama out. And so
she got set up, man. She's not smart enough to like come up with like.
And that's what I kind of thought too.
Yep.
She's not nowhere near complicated enough to pull something like that off.
I kind of agree, but yeah, she's pretty much done after that. So I think we won't hear about her for a while.
Oh, that's too bad, man. Here's to you, sweetheart.
Excuse me. I'm still dealing with leftover stuffy nose and cough for the last like 3 weeks, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, there is a coat of pollen on everything here right now in Southeast Texas. It is everywhere. Like if I walk out on my front porch on the deck, it feels like I'm walking on powder. There is that much pollen on everything.
That's flower sperm.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you just got sperm everywhere, man.
Paul says that he got a Jason Grant small hogbill he calls the Hawk Tua.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody did. Apparently somebody jumped on that bandwagon.
I'm sure there's all kinds of shirts and hats out there.
Yeah, and leave it to Jason Grant for something goofy like that. That doesn't even faze me for him. EDC for Fun wants to know what you're drinking, Alex. Because
some Buchanan bourbon.
That's Scotch.
Oh, you're right. It is Scotch. Yeah,
Buchanan's good.
It's all right.
Nice green bottle.
Yeah. Good
Oh,
price.
Paul said it was just a one-off that he made for him, apparently.
Oh. I am
And now I'm on
sweet
to
tea.
cranberry juice.
Mine is the the sparkling ice waters. I throw it in a Yeti cup so it stays colder. So
JB Stout.
any love for JB Stout?
I do
Yeah.
love his designs. I think they're really cool. I don't even know does he still make knives?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't.
JB, he's pretty much one of the most level-headed, down-to-earth guys that you'll ever come across.
Mm.
Super nice guy.
I don't think he makes them in like big numbers either. Like he's been out forever, but yeah, I don't see like any of the stouts usually have any like of the knife retailers ever or anything like that.
I don't think he does any kind of big sprint runs or anything like. I think he's pretty much a a custom kind of
Well, I
like
mean,
me, one
like
knife a week type of guy.
you know, when
Mhm.
you go to like Knife Center or you can go to Blade HQ, you'll still see like Jason Guthrie's and you see custom knives in there all the time because they pick them up at the knife shows and stuff. Hell, they
Right.
have a couple of yours in there, man.
There's some of
Um,
mine in there.
I've seen some before, absolutely. But I
Nick says
also,
that JB just dropped a production Riot
oh, that's cool.
named Snappy Boy.
He
Nice.
used to do a lot of stuff with Boker knives too. He had a couple of them. I have one or two of his models that were like Boker versions of like I was it the Thunder and I forgot what that was. Blood and Thunder.
Yeah, Blood and Thunder is one of his.
Blood. Yeah, that's a cool knife, man. He always has those crazy fullers in there, you know. It looks cool. Oh, look, Nick says he has a Rob Ontario 2 squared. I remember those.
Yes, yeah, the square. They did a really good job on those, but I think they the the guy that's over like the designs and everything, he changed up the flipper tab quite a bit, which the flipper tab needs arc. That way, whenever you grab it with your finger,
Yeah.
you have something to grip onto. Well, he straightened it out. That way, whenever you grip it with your feet, it just slips right off. And it was not an authorized change, and I wasn't real happy about it. But they said sales were doing good, and I was like, well, we'll see how long it lasts. And of course, they kept getting them. A lot of complaints with the flipper tab. It was slippery, or people couldn't flip them open. And I was like, you shouldn't have changed it.
Yep.
But it is what it is. Dealing with production companies is such a pain in the ass sometimes. Columbia River Knife and Tool was great. However, any design you submit to them, you have to get past their marketing team. And of course, if their marketing team cannot open it, it doesn't pass. So we're talking about people that have no idea about knives.
Right.
They just know about selling knives.
Okay. That's interesting.
If they can't open a knife, I mean, it doesn't pass.
How do you know how to sell knives if you don't know anything about knives?
Well,
they're just marketing people. They can sell anything. Like they just
sell
sell a
anything.
widget. They don't know like who needs this. Like this widget here that Concept EDC sent me. They just sell it. They don't know what it's for or how to use it or anything. They just sell. They just market.
Work it. I can sell you a popsicle. Doesn't mean I'm a popsicle expert.
Right. Some people can just sell shit. Like, I don't know, like used car salesmen, guys. They don't really know about the car.
Yeah, dad. Man, my dad was so good at. My dad could sell anything to anybody. I don't have that.
He says, if you guys have a second, my first design is coming out next month called the Nefarious, something I dreamt of and wanted to get it made no matter what. Okay, cool. And thank you for the little super chat. That's great. I always appreciate that. Who is making it? If you don't mind sharing. We always like to know who the OEMs are. And is it a flipper? Like what? Tell us something about it. I know we can't really post knives and or pictures and stuff, but you tell us a little bit about it would be helpful. Best Tech, okay. They seem to be a pretty big. I mean, they OEM for a lot of people, but a lot of like newer people kind of do smaller runs through Best Tech. I've seen and talked to people before. So, and they make great stuff. I mean, I can't really knock them at all. So that's cool. But yeah, congrats. When does it come out? And what is it? Because now I'm curious.
Me too.
So what does Robert have? What are you working on right now?
Oh man,
What's coming in the next couple of weeks for you?
well, I have a really badass BBM that I'm working on.
Okay.
It is made out of carbon fiber that is used to rebuild spine, your discs and your vertebrae,
Oh,
and
okay.
in the medical industry. And it's an inset lock with inlays, Westinghouse inlays. So pretty much the entire handle is paper micarta and carbon fiber with inlays and multiple tier layer stuff going on with it. I don't know if either one of y'all are in my Facebook group, but I've been posting posting pictures of it, and it's been a machining nightmare because this carbon fiber might as well be carbide. Like it machines so rough and eats up carbide end mills like it's made out of carbide.
Really?
It's bad.
Wow. All right. Wicked Design says on his Instagram, first week of April, and it's a flipper. All right. I'll have to go check it out because Paul says it's a gnarly design that I think Dirk will probably like. Well, the way to find out if Dirk will actually like it is to send Dirk one, and then I will tell the world if I like it or not. Just saying. I can send it back too. So like, yeah, I don't expect a bunch of free shit, but happens sometimes, but that's not my goal in life.
Somebody is running some rounds down the road.
Mo Patty says he just answered the questions to join the Facebook group. So yes, anybody else that's on Facebook, Robert Carter has a Facebook group. Go ask to join. Alex is on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. Robert's on Facebook. Go friend us all. We all have Instagrams. Go follow Instagram. Do all that social media stuff. While you're here, do all that social media stuff you're supposed to do. Okay? While you're on YouTube, do the YouTube stuff too. You guys know what I'm talking about.
I definitely need to get back active on my Instagram. I kind of let it go there for a while because I guess I was shadow banned or something. I wasn't getting very many views, very many likes, comments, anything. So I just kind of backed out of it.
Damn, everybody says I'm going to like this knife that Wicked Design has. I guess I better check it out. It's a futuristic looking flipper. How futuristic? There's like a line, and then you cross that line, and then I'm like, okay, I don't really like it.
Space Viking.
So, like, they can get way out there, and I'm not the way out there guy, but it's okay.
The Space Viking knife. Roar.
But I will check it out. I'll look at the Instagram after this show and see what it is.
I remember whenever the that Decepticon or whatever it was came out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was a wild knife.
Yep.
That was a really cool knife.
That was a cool knife. They still they're still sought after and worth quite a bit of money if you can find them. Like those, you're talking about the CKF knife, right?
I guess I have no idea.
Like all in little like constructed pieces of the handle, like a ton of holes everywhere. Yeah, that was a cool knife. Yeah.
So Paul, talking about his BBM2, says he traded a more expensive knife and he couldn't be happier about it. It's not all about the money for me. I've made some trade deals like that too. Like, hey, this thing's worth more than what you're selling or trading. But to me, I like that thing better. The money aspect is a thing, but to me, it's not the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like when you're looking for a new job, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you got to make enough money to pay your bills and to live, right? But it's not so much about the money at the new job. It's about the community there, the atmosphere, the work. Do I have to go to the office? Do I get to work from home? Like there's a bunch of all that extra stuff that's much more important than the dollar amount for me when I'm looking for a new job. Not that I'm looking for a new job in case anybody at work is watching. Just saying in a general term, okay?
I definitely understand that. Whenever I quit working offshore, I was making like $450 a day per
Mhm.
12-hour shift, and I could not wait to quit.
Yep.
Then I
Yeah,
quit.
I mean,
Wait,
money's great, but you know, you got to enjoy what you're doing. It's got to be for you, and you can't be in a toxic situation. And it's better to take less money over here and have a nicer, like, uh, life experience, life pleasure, whatever you want to say, right?
well, you have to think about it like this: when you work offshore on a vessel, and you're the captain of that vessel, it's prison with a chance of drowning
Yeah,
because nobody there likes you.
right. And you can't get off.
Yeah, you can't go nowhere. There's no cell phone service. There's no TV. You're
Right.
pretty much working 12 hours a day. You go take a shower, brush your teeth, eat, go to bed, wake up, do it all over again every day.
That would get old pretty quick.
And then whenever it's time for crew change, your personnel coordinator doesn't line anyone up for you to get off the vessel. So guess what? Now you're stuck there for another 3 weeks. It's prison. It's prison, and no one likes you, but you have a
Right.
chance of drowning. That's that's the only way to explain working offshore on a vessel.
Wow, that's I never thought of it that way, but that makes perfect sense. And I think everybody can relate and understand exactly what you just explained.
The people that you work for, they don't like you. The oil
Right.
company, the construction rig or oil rig or production platform that you're working for, they don't like you. The people that are working on the vessel with you, they don't like you. The people at the docks where you get your fuel, your water, your groceries,
Yeah.
backloading cargo, they don't like you. You're not liked anywhere you go. It's
I
prison.
like these guys, man. I like them a lot, actually.
Wow.
That sounds like my
prison.
kind of environment.
No, there's
That's
a lot
kind
of
of crazy.
there's a lot of fights. Trust me.
That your crew doesn't even like you.
Well, whenever you're 21 years old and you're the captain and you're the boss,
Well, yeah.
nobody likes you.
Yeah, I get that. Wow. I saw some comments up here from Paul.
I was reading a couple of them.
Do you know what happened to Dr. Frunke? Well, we had him on the show.
Not that long ago, actually.
Like literally maybe 2 months ago, which is like 4 or 5 episodes ago. It might have been like maybe it was a little longer than that, but we did have him on, and he was super great to talk with. He didn't realize it was going to be video, so he didn't have his video on, but he said he would love to come back anytime. And now that he knows the kind of the format better, he'll have his video so he can show us some of the knives that he has. Yeah, he was super great to talk to. And I've chatted with him before, like, on Messenger and whatnot. But yeah, we'll have to have him back on.
Yeah, Dr. Frunke, yeah, he's the best, man. And yeah, I'm actually the BBM that I'm working on now with the carbon fiber and the inlays is actually for Dr. Frunke.
Oh, nice. Which means something, because Dr. Frunke explained to us that he has X number of knives now, and that's all he's going to have. Whatever this number was, I don't remember what it was, 12, 14, 18, whatever the number. And if he gets a new one, he got to get rid of one because he's downsized to X is his goal. I'm sure a couple here and there, but he really wants to focus on not getting out of hand like he was back in the day of having just all of these knives, which I understand. I just did my state of the collection videos recently, and I had to break them up. Like, here's my Fisher collection, which is a problem. I have way too many of those. And here's my ones from Red Horse Knife Works, and here's my ones from this. And then I did the onesie twosies, like like my Tim Gallion. I've got one, right? I couldn't do a whole video just on this collection of this, but so I kind of did that one, and man, I got a lot of knives. And then I did it, and then there was a comment from somebody saying, "Hey, what about this one?" I'm like, "Oh shit, those are in a box in the closet, like my donut knives and like some other just weird stuff, like is down in the box in the closet because it just when I moved, I've never put them anywhere.
Yeah, never broke them back out.
Never broke those ones back out. So I've got more than just was on the videos. So I don't know that I could pare it down to 20 even. I don't know if I could do that. But I gave Dr. Frunke
That's my wet dream,
credit.
man. To pare it down to like 30, 20, that's my wet dream, man.
Really?
Just gonna sell everything and then just condense. The only reason why I haven't done that is because that I do like YouTube once in a while. But
once in a while.
But
yeah. And you've talked about that before too, is selling a bunch of your stuff and buying a grail, like a couple of real higher end things, which is the smart way to go. Me, I just buy that stupid stuff, that crazy expensive grail stuff. In my mind, I think I'm going to sell some other shit, right? To help pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I buy it, I get it here, and I'm like, oh, it's already on the credit card. I already paid it. So do I have to sell that stuff? And then I never do.
It's even like that Grant and Gavin Hawk. What's that thing called? It's the utility knife. Yeah, the shortcut. I bought that. You remember the day I bought it? I'm like, I bought this so I could review it and sell it. I still have it.
You still have it, and you haven't even reviewed it yet, I don't think.
Actually, I kind of did, but I didn't post it because I wanted to redo the review. It was too half-assed. Like I wanted to take time, take it apart, show how it works.
Right. Okay.
Well, and then I say you guys, you have to do what makes you happy.
Absolutely.
That's buy more knives.
This is buy more knives. And John says, now you're making F-16s, crickets, and MK1s for a living, and everybody loves you, likes you. So that's the difference from being on the ship and in your prison with the chance of drowning and now making knives and everybody likes you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just glad I'm getting more time in the shop here lately.
Actually, I got a very cool custom knife coming for me and really soon too. It's almost done.
Almost done with that one?
Yeah, so like the scales, everything, it's the Damascus, it's all put together. The only thing he was waiting on was I think he was going to do a pivot for me. And we haven't figured out exactly if we're going to do black pearl or if we're going to do because he did a pocket clip in zirconia. It's that. So it's zirconia, but they use the crystallized titanium for it. So it's like crystallized zirconia. It's kind of weird. I didn't even know they made that stuff yet. I don't know why they wouldn't, but
right.
But I just didn't think they mixed that stuff because you just saw crystal tie come out like a year or two ago, right?
Yeah, well, it's actually really easy to make. All you do is make zirconia, and you just get it a little too hot while you're forging it. Boom, crystallized tie.
Oh, really?
That's it. That's literally it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, you just get it a little too hot for, one or two heats. You just get it, a little bit above the temperature that you need it to be.
Yeah.
It comes after you clean it up, all of the CP grade in the zirconia becomes crystallized.
Interesting.
Yeah, so don't let nobody sell it to you as, oh, this is so hard to make. No.
Right. Yeah.
I just haven't seen it before. That was my first time seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I kind of let Ian do his thing. He's like the creative guy. I told him we had like couple set things the Damascus. Like he did a really cool. He used a pretty cool billet of like some. I don't even know where he got it from. I have to ask him. But it's got a really cool twist, and in like 2 spots only, and then the rest kind of looks layered, which looks cool. and then we did Westinghouse. Yeah, I mean, it's typical mistress from Ian.
Mm-hmm. Something steel that I don't have that I would really like to do at some point is SM100.
Oof.
I don't
Well,
know.
you're talking to the right maker for that.
I know
I got-
Robert did some great stuff. I've seen some of the stuff that you did with Frank back in the day with SM100, and
I've got two on the bench now, and
beautiful.
I'm dreading finishing them up because they're SM100.
Mm.
But they're awesome. Don't get me wrong. I've got a Warbird with OG carbo quartz. The blade,
Oh, damn.
it's and Kenobi type bolsters, backspacer, and clip collars, of course, but
With SM100.
all hidden hardware too. I don't want to get on it because the blade is SM100. I really don't want to mess with it.
It sounds great because carbon quartz is tough to come by now. So
And it's OG carbo quartz too.
oh, that's great. I have Ed Kim from Red Horse Knife Works working on the last Hellraiser he's making. And we were looking for some carbon quartz. He couldn't find any at a reasonable price. So he's got some carbon quartz, or whatever the hell it is.
And
So
I
we're
made
using that instead.
I made a BBM with that not long ago with just the presentation side or the show scale
Yep.
camo quartz.
Yep.
I surface ground the camo quartz frame several times, took it to like 220 on the surface grinder, and
Okay.
then hand lapped it to make sure it was flat. And then I took it to a parallel, made sure it was flat because you're putting, something that's not metallic as a show side. It needs to be flat.
Right.
Everything needs to be to spec.
Yep.
Finished this BBM and I sent it off. And the guy messaged me like 3 months later and says, "Man, there's this huge gap in the backspacer." I'm like, well, send me a picture of it. So he sends me a picture of it held up to the light. And you can see this huge gap on the camel quartz side. I'm like, man, what the hell?
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, send it to me. Maybe the screws came loose or something.
Right.
He sends it to me. The screws are tight. Everything's tight. The camel quartz actually warped like bad.
Wow.
Yep. And I couldn't really fix it because once it warps like that, it's like you have to it'll be shallow on the ends,
Yep.
thicker in the middle. I was like, man, there's nothing I can really do with that besides try to bend it back or just, do some trickery with the backspacer.
Yeah. Oh man,
So I did some trickery stuff with the backspacer and just sent it back because it ran great. It wasn't off center. It's like, man, that's just the material. There's nothing to do about that. He thought the backspacer was off, and I was like, no, bro.
Yeah.
NASA would be proud of how flat this fucking backspacer is.
Right.
And I even sent them pictures on a parallel, like this thing is as flat as you can humanly get something flat. Like,
right.
It's the material. And then I went back and I had to find a bunch of pictures of the knife whenever I was building it to show him that there was no gaps, everything was completely flat.
Right.
But yeah, over a course of a couple of months, the material just decided to warp.
That sucks.
Yeah,
that really sucks.
Wow.
So Paul asks, and this is a good question because I'm not sure either. What steel is most like SM100? What could we compare it to? I'm not even sure either.
Well, it's a nitrile nickel titanium composition or alloy, whatever you want to call it, but it's a mixture of mostly nickel and titanium.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not really steel, right? It's like
it's no carbon in it, which is weird.
How's the edge retention on that stuff?
It ain't worth a shit.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah.
If you're cutting like potatoes or something with it, it's fine. You hit some cardboard with it, it's gonna roll the edge.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's not really
it's just that material.
Yeah, it looks great though. And
Oh
it looks
yeah,
great on the Instagram. So
it would be great for kitchen knives.
yeah.
I mean, it'll hold an edge well enough to cut vegetables all day. Like that. That's
Yeah.
not a problem, and it's easy to sharpen.
Mm,
Regardless of what you hear, nightmare stories about it.
yeah.
It's really easy to sharpen. But if you hit something hard, it'll chip out or roll over.
Yep. So it's not something you're going to use as an EDC type of carry
No,
around and
no,
do stuff with. I mean, it
no.
looks super cool, and that's why I kind of want one, just because I don't have anything in that material, and it looks great. So at some point, yeah, we'll see.
It's like low. Is it low hardness or high hardness on those things?
That is a good question. I have no idea how hard it gets. I just know that it's a pain in the ass to grind, machine,
Uh-huh.
to work with, and then even after heat treat, uh, sharpening it, you can tell a difference. It sounds kind of like what I don't know. It's hard to explain, but whenever I sharpen a knife, say like on the belt, and I can hear the edge hit the belt and how it sounds,
Yeah.
you can tell how hard or abrasion resistant it is.
Okay.
That stuff sounds like hell whenever it hits the belt,
Mm-hmm.
compared to
Yeah, I would
Magna
kind
Cut
of.
and all that.
I
M3
would figure
knives.
it's like the carbidized titanium, kind of like Momert knives does, and he like carbidizes the edge of like titanium
They
blades. I don't know.
say they say that works, but I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah. I have one of I have one of those knives, but I haven't I've cut paper and shit with it, but I haven't like actually cut tested with it.
Supposed to be self sharpening. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Sell me
because the
some sell
carbides
me
are
some
supposed to
popsicle
break
sticks
off.
too.
It's supposed to like
Exactly.
so it's
Yeah.
supposed to like say like the way it deteriorates is the carbides break off, so
Hey,
therefore it's like always rated.
I would tell you anything you needed to hear so you would buy it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's all
yeah.
I'm gonna say about that, buddy.
Yep. But yeah, so SM100 is not the greatest for EDC stuff.
No.
It looks really cool. It's hard to work with, and that means it's more expensive when you buy a knife with SM100.
Yes, absolutely.
You
But
pay
like
for
I
that
said,
extra labor.
it would be great for a kitchen knife.
Yep. That would actually be a cool looking kitchen knife.
Yes, but I believe that color would wear off pretty fast after you get done. Say after a month of using it, the color it's just like anodized titanium. The color's
Yeah.
going to wear off of it eventually.
Yeah. It looks kind of, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it's kind of like a rainbowish pattern. Sort of when it's all finished up and ready to go. So I like the way it looks. We'll see.
Yeah, I've had some really good luck with it.
Yeah, John says, dude, this is absolutely incredible. I feel like I'm in a conversation that I'd want to be a fly on the wall for. We're like listening to trade secrets. Talking about how, the ins and outs of knife making a little bit, guys, which is what we love to do. And that's what Robert's great at. He's been doing it a long time. He makes his own steel at times. He makes his own robtanium and whatnot. Like, so he does it all. Like, way more than most custom maker. Like, there are some others that make their own steel. Let's not get it twisted here. He's not the only guy that's doing anything like this, but he can make his own steel. He can make his own robtanium, which is like Timascus, Zircuti. It's that sort of a thing that he mixes up his own special concoction with, and makes his own everything, really, which is great.
Well,
Yeah,
I always thought that
really the way to put it.
The cool thing about Robert's like knife making techniques are always great and on par. Like the first time I held one of Robert's custom knives, I felt like I was like holding a quality piece. Like everything looked lined up. It looked like somebody took a shitload of hours to make the gaps and everything looked perfect, and it felt durable too in the hand. So like it felt like an upper tier knife the first time I held it. And then a lot of things, I've been in Robert's group for like years. And for me, has always been the anodizing like that he does. The colors that he gets out of that titanium or whichever type of materials he works with. I think
Mhm.
he's like one of the best at getting the right tone of colors. That was always my favorite thing, to go through his page is like looking like, like through a bag of Skittles a lot of times,
Yeah.
the next post and next post, it's like beautiful, like Timascus, then it's like low layer, like kind of that Robtanium stuff, and there's like a big chunk of gold, and then there's blue, and then there's silver. It's just like, yeah, just that was always one of my favorite things about what you do with knife making, was the colors.
Well, appreciate
Yeah.
it.
And Knife Life says the more you can do in house, the better. Absolutely, because then you have all the control.
Yes.
You can control every aspect of it, and it may take you a little more time. You may get pissed off at yourself because you got to redo something, but it's all you. You don't have to worry about any quality control shit when you buy something. Even though it's raw materials from other people, you may buy carbon fiber and it's got voids in it. You may buy this and it's got, it's not what you wanted. Things like that. So yeah, if you can do it more yourself, hey, that's just better. And I think the collectors like that more also, because then it's all made by the same person.
Well, I can definitely make everything in-house that I need to make, down to the screws, the bearings. Well, not the bearing balls, but the actual bearing cages.
The cages. Yep.
Yeah. And the pivots, the screws, whatever I need to make, I can make it.
Yep. Yeah, which is great. And those are the kind of makers that I like to talk with and just, pick their brain on things and stuff like that. And you've always been great to talk to. You're very responsive on messengers and stuff, which is great. A lot of guys are not as quick maybe, but I don't take that away from maker. They're busy. They're running their business. They're doing their thing.
Oh, yeah, I totally understand that. I've got messages right now that I haven't got to in a couple of weeks, just because I've received so many messages that those messages get, down to the bottom.
Right.
And then you message back 30 or 40 people, and then you get 30 or 40 responses, and then you have to respond to them. Next thing you know, you're tired, you're wore out, you're ready just to relax. And some of those messages get skipped over, and I do apologize for that, because it does happen.
Absolutely.
It's not a bad thing to have your messenger blowing up constantly, but it's also it's hell to keep up with sometimes.
Yeah, so you guys that are out there reaching out to makers directly, they like it. I've talked to a lot of them.
Oh, of course.
But they also can't necessarily respond within 5 minutes all the time. So give them a lot of grace, because they're working, and Todd Fisher right now, I've talked to him a lot, and he's working on his house, trying to finish up the house, because they're going to be moving. Like, they bought another property and stuff like that. So he's mad crazy on the house and doing some knife stuff that he has in for service and finishing some orders and stuff like that. So he's like, yeah, sorry, I missed your other message, from your other guy, because I've been spending 15 hours a day on the house right now. So we got to remember that the knife makers have lives. They're normal people, families, kids, dogs and cats. They've got normal lives. Don't expect them to respond in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and if you got to message them again in a few days, message them again. It's fine.
Yeah, that's totally fine. And as soon as I get everything caught up, and I'm thinking maybe right after Blade Show, or if Todd's busy, maybe first of the winter time, so we could forge some stuff. But as soon as I can, I would like to get something going. And me and Todd have talked about it several times. We're definitely going to do a collab in the future. We just have to find time to get together.
Right. That's the thing.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
I really wanted to get out there early December, towards the first of the year, but of course that's already came and gone.
Right.
And now here I am, I'm trying to clear up the bench so I can get on Blade Show prep. So that time is come and gone. Like, it's not easy to plan for things as a maker.
Right. Especially if you're trying to coordinate and plan something with another maker.
Yes.
Because you can't schedule. So the other maker may not be able to schedule at the same time either. It's logistical nightmares.
Yes, it is. And I love to travel and go to other maker shops and do collabs and do all that good stuff. I love doing it, because I learned so much more than, just what my dad and my grandfather taught me.
Right.
I get to see the other side of it. I get to see, maybe I'm doing it backwards.
Right.
Maybe they're doing it right or a faster, better way, and I'm over here winging it by hand or something, and that's why I really like to travel and do collabs with other makers.
Yeah, and I think that's great.
I cannot wait to do something with Todd.
Yeah, the more exposure you get to different makers and different things and working side by side with them for a day or two or three or a week, it just really expands both of your guys' experience, because you may be doing something that you can teach them. Hey, I do it this way and it saves me 10 minutes a day. And
absolutely.
Like, oh, sweet. I never thought of it that way. Alex and I talk about stuff all the time with doing videos and stuff, and we pick up little different tidbits from each other and other, YouTube people that I talk to and stuff. So it's really good to just get that experience, talks amongst yourselves and things like that as well.
Yeah, and also you get to spend a lot of time with, say, like your other maker, your friend or whatever. Most of the time, your time is spent together either at a knife show or on the phone.
Yep.
Or maybe a FaceTime or something. Well, now you're actually in that person's house. You're in that person's shop. You're actually getting to know that person on a real level.
For sure.
And get to know their parents or, their kids or wife or, just whatever. You get to get a little bit of a glimpse into their everyday life.
Yeah, which is super helpful. And I've been able to do that with some makers, with the Beggs. They're an hour and a half or an hour-ish from me, Mark Begg and Mattia. Todd Begg is now in Texas somewhere. But so going to their shop and just meeting the guys that are there on the line working was just great. It made those knives so much more special to be in the shop talking to the guys who made them.
Yeah.
There's just something about that. And you get to see the painstaking steps that they go through. Sometimes we get a piece at home and we know that there's work involved, but you don't really understand until you're at the shop and you see, here's the grinding room, here's where they assemble, here's where they forge, here's where they heat treat, and you really get a better understanding of what all is involved when you're there seeing it.
Oh, of course. And another big thing is I like to see from the standpoint of, say, like the other maker that I'm working with, because I know, like I can be off the wall and backwards and I see things that other people don't see. And, I can take a block of metal and just see something in it and I can just start shaping it.
Right.
Well, I like to see the other maker's vision.
Yep.
Of how they create and the process that their brain goes through to create something.
Oh, because I'm sure it's all different for every maker.
Yes, I personally enjoy that part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And Paul has a comment here about how collabs are always interesting and confusing, trying to distinguish who does what and stuff like that. Who made the blade, who made the scales, how do you, figure out who's doing what? And it is an interesting thing because I get a bunch of collabs and I'm like, well, who did what? And the guy's like, well, I did this and that guy did that. And we both worked on this. And I like it. I think it's a cool thing. I love collabs for sure. They're just fun to own and talk about and all of that. So yeah, it's just a different way to get a knife.
Yeah. And whenever I would do collabs with Frank, it was crazy because you never knew who did what.
No.
Because in Frank's shop or in my shop, we would literally just be standing right next to each other doing the same exact thing, just on a different grinder.
Right.
Like I would start contouring a set of frames. He'd be right here next to me contouring a set of frames.
Right.
We'd take them both back to the bench. Neither one of us knew which one we contoured.
Right.
There was no discernible difference between what set of frames or, who ground this blade.
I'm not sure.
Looks good. Like
it looks good. Let's just snap it together and call it the collab and sell them, ship them out. But
we definitely document,
when it works that way.
Whenever we both are working together, and to make sure that people see, hey, this is a collab project,
right? For sure.
And you just literally can't tell who made this one or who. I can tell. I can see the subtle little differences. But y'all probably couldn't tell.
Nope. Nope. Even with as many like battles and things I have from Frank, like I couldn't tell if you guys did something together. It's hard to tell the difference between the one that Todd Sr. made battle and the ones that Frank made. I mean, I can tell that one because mine's a prototype one, but he made, I think it was number 3 that he kind of followed more Frank's design, a little bit in the handle.
Mhm.
Dude, it was, I couldn't really tell. If I didn't know it was brand new and came to me from Todd, I probably couldn't tell that it wasn't done by Frank.
Yeah.
So
Besides the type of grinds that would go on something, like if I was to make a Fury,
yep.
besides the grinds, you probably wouldn't be able to tell that it was made from me or Frank or Todd.
Yep.
Like you just wouldn't be able to. Like the contours would look the same.
Yep.
The only thing that would be different would be the grinds.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's more of a particular thing per person.
Yeah.
That's like a signature.
Yeah, it's kind of a signature thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Fury is a nice model. I like the Fury model. I almost need a Fury XL for my hands. Same with like the Warbird. I probably need like an XL.
I don't know, that's a pretty sizable knife.
It is.
I'm sure you've handled the larger one, the 3.25 version or whatever it is.
I think that's the one I've handled. Yeah. I need like a 3.5, 3 3/4 Warbird.
I'll be right back, gents.
I got it in CAD. I just haven't got to it. Just like I have a 3.75 Talon in CAD. I haven't got to it. And there's a 3.6 that was made, but I also made that specific for somebody that wanted that size, but 3.75 is more common size, so I have it.
Yeah, I think a 3.75 is probably the way to go. A Warbird in that 3.5, 3.6, 3.75, that'd probably be right up my alley.
That's a big one.
It gets big. Yeah.
That's a 2-inch tall blade. That would be a 2-inch tall blade.
Yeah. See, as it gets longer, it gets bigger. Like the whole thing gets bigger.
Yeah.
And when I was talking to Frank or to Todd Sr. about doing a couple of Archangels for me that I gave away, I was thinking 3.75, just because it's a little smaller and the average person would like that better.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of talked me out of it. He goes, "Hey, look, the 3.75, I did do. Some Russian KGB guy wanted it, so that's how I came up with the 3.75 in the first place. But the dimensions, like it's shorter, like all the dimensions are smaller. It's not the shorter blade. It's not as tall, and everything is a little different. And I'd handled
scaled down.
Yeah, that's right. It is a little more skin and bones. So I had him do 4 inchers for me, and it worked out great. Everything's perfect, but yeah, you got to think about that too. It's not just the length of the blade. Everything else changes when that blade length changes, either up or down.
Yeah, because you have
it's not the size that counts.
It's not the size that counts.
How a maker would do it, say like they have their original drawing.
Yep.
Well, they would go to their computer or printer or whatever, and they would upscale it 10% or 15 and 20, and then they would print it out and measure it and be, okay, that's 3.75.
Yeah.
Then they would cut, make several copies, cut the parts out, put them on material, and cut everything out, punch holes.
Yep.
It's not like they're drawing each individual knife in a specific size.
Yeah, you just zoom it in or zoom it out on your software, print it out, cut it out in paper, and see if it works.
Yeah, that's how I do it. I do it in CAD, but I do I'll select the entire part, and then scale it to whatever size I need it to, and then I'll make the adjustments on all of the arcs and sizes for the stop pin, detent, make sure that all the geometry is right.
Yeah, for sure.
Same thing, just faster for me.
Yeah, and that's not even to minimize it, because just because you can shrink it or zoom it in CAD, you still got to figure out how it's all going to work. Like, just because you zoom it out or zoom it in doesn't mean it's just quick and easy, throw it in the machine and out it spits. There's a lot of work involved still.
Yeah, there's still a lot of math involved with your degrees of rotation.
All that comes into play for sure.
Clearance.
Yep.
still
Knife
alive.
Fight says, "What was the hardest or most frustrating project you've ever worked on, Robert? If you can even put that into words."
I wouldn't say the hardest, but the most frustrating thing I've ever had to do was learning how to make zircuitai.
Okay.
It was the most expensive couple of mistakes I have ever made.
Oh, I bet.
$1,100 a pop. That was pretty frustrating. But as far as difficulty goes, the prep work and everything is the same as making titanium Damascus. Just making it with Zirc is a lot more expensive.
Right. Yep. That makes sense.
I figured out if you heat it up too fast, it melts at about 1,500 degrees for some reason. And yeah, there was several other little things that happened that I kind of messed up on. Getting it too hot, getting it, not forging it hot enough, and there's a few other things.
Yeah, John says it doesn't bond easily too. He's heard Zirc is hard to bond to titanium.
Well, it bonds. You just have to run it at the right temperature.
Yeah.
And you can't heat it up too fast because it will melt while it's just cherry red. You would think, oh, it's zirconium and titanium.
Yeah.
It'll melt at like 3,000 degrees, white hot.
Right.
No, if it barely gets cherry red and starts melting, you got a problem.
See, good.
Yeah, there's a big problem somewhere. Something was introduced that shouldn't have been introduced into the mix.
Yep, I got it. And Paul says he's working on his 5th Morrison-made knife. He's got a bit of a Fisher situation going on. Referencing my Fisher problem, because the second drawer down on the left side of that box there is just full of Fisher knives, and it is a bit of a problem. Yeah, I don't know. I loved the battle. I finally got my Grail knife, which was a battle. And then I got a second battle and a third battle and a fourth battle and a fifth battle and a Cobra from TJ. And then I got the Archangel from Senior first. Was my first Fisher ever. And then I got another Archangel. And then I got a prototype battle from Senior. And it just becomes a problem. But I like those guys so much. I like the whole Fisher family. And so if I like you, then I kind of support you. And because you're nice people and you've got cool designs, that's a problem for me. I mean, it's not a problem. It's a problem for my bank account.
Yeah.
Because I like cool stuff. I like those designs. And if I like you as a person, you get more business. I have the same Red Horse Knife Works problem with Ed Kim.
Have you seen papers?
I like all of his
designs. Here. I'm here.
Yeah, sweetheart.
I got some
Sammy's in the house.
What you doing, Sammy?
I'm gonna get some paper.
All right.
She want to come on and say hi?
You're welcome. Yeah, my 8-year-old.
Yeah,
that's all right. I understand. I'm
life happens, guys. We've got families and stuff like that. I mean, I live alone now. My kids are grown and old and out the house. My oldest has his own son now, so it's life is fun. It's frustrating and hard as hell at times. Other days it's just great and wonderful and not a care in the world. So just minute by minute.
Surprisingly, the mascot's been really quiet all day today. He's just been chilling.
Yeah, that's cool.
My little teacup or toy poodle or whatever it is that I got. He has only barked once.
I'm happily with no pets right now. I've grown up with dogs and cats, gone through the parakeets and the lovebirds, all that stuff as a kid. Had dogs and cats as an adult too. But when the last cat had to get put down, I was good cleaning up all the stuff and retiring the cat box.
Yeah, no, I was fully ready to retire having animals myself. I had a dog that got hit by a vehicle.
Oh,
was horrible. And I hadn't had an animal in 2 years, maybe 3 years. Okay. And then my soon-to-be wife shows up with this little tiny poodle puppy.
Yep.
no.
It was kind of a
No.
package deal.
Just out of the blue, she showed up with this puppy. I was like, no. Now, next thing you know, I'm the only one hanging out with it. Me and him sit on the couch and watch TV and movies together, and he gets into movies like crazy.
Dude, isn't that the way it goes? I didn't want the cat either when my ex-wife got the cat, and it somehow the cat picked me as the person in the family it was going to be.
And that's the way it goes. That is
and so then it became my cat. We got divorced. She took the dog. I kept the cat. Had the cat a total of like 17 years before we had to put it down. And that was probably probably 10-ish years ago. And I'm good. I don't need another pet. My girlfriend now, she's like, you need a cat. You need a little dog. You're there at your house all by yourself. I'm like, yeah, it's perfect.
It's quiet. It's perfect.
It's quiet. I don't have to worry about it if I travel for work. You and I can go out of town, and we don't have to worry about my animals. You got to deal with your cats, but your kids are still at home, so they can deal with that. So, yeah, it's great. I don't need any pets.
Yeah. My dog he's really good at figuring out who the bad guy is in the movie right off.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he'll bark at one of the characters in the movie. And I'm like, what's going on? Ends up that's the bad guy. I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's funny.
You got it figured out, buddy. I appreciate it.
That's funny as hell. So, oh boy. All right. Well, I think we've got time to wrap up. The comments have kind of dwindled down and whatnot. So, but yeah, Robert, thanks for coming on. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you and know what's going on and whatnot, and we'll keep in touch. And if any of you guys in the comments, go check out his Facebook group.
That's a fun place to be.
Stuff. It's fun. You'll see Alex and I popping around in there from time to time. If you're not following Alex, me, and Robert on Facebook or Instagram, I don't know what your problem is, but get on it. And
yes,
do the social media stuff, the YouTube stuff. Y'all know what to do. And we'll have Robert back on again at some point, I am sure, and we'll work on Dr. Funky again. Maybe we'll have him on next time. Or in the next, month or two, we'll get him back on because
definitely send me the link to that whenever y'all do.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have yourselves a fantastic night and good luck at work this week.
Absolutely. You guys have a great week too.
Thanks,
I appreciate y'all.